Hello and welcome to the WIHS Journal Public Affairs Program. I'm Jerry Williams. Well, Jim and Eleanor Pelley faithfully served the Lord at WIHS for 4 decades. Jim Pelley went home to be with the Lord in the early 2000s, and Eleanor just had her homegoing service this past Wednesday, July 2nd. And that's where I caught up with the Pelleys' only daughter, Cindy Tremain. You'll also hear a short clip of Paul Kretschmer's interview with Jim Pelley from 2006, and a surprise at the end. That's happening now on the WIHS Journal. It's news and public affairs. How you doing, Cindy?
I'm doing as well as can be expected. I'm doing well.
I understand that you live in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and you came down here for your mom's homegoing service.
Yes. Actually, my mom had lived with me for the last 4 or 5 years of her life when she could no longer live on her own.
Now, a lot of us know that Jim Pelley was the first voice that WIHS listeners heard. And so, Cindy, take us back to the early days in the history and how your parents became involved. What do you recall?
Well, we had been missionaries in Liberia, West Africa for 12 years. I have a brother who has some difficulties. And so as a result, my mom and dad left the field to come to the United States to get some help for my brother. Came back to Connecticut because that's where my mom was from, and her sending church was in Connecticut, and they were very helpful. Groton Heights Baptist Church in Groton, Connecticut. They provided housing for us in the interim while we figured out our life, I guess. At the same time, the 3 couples that were praying to start this Christian radio station were ready to go, and they just need somebody to run it. And my dad was very concerned that he would be able to get work because his talents were very, very specialized. I believe it was somebody from Groton Heights Baptist Church who also knew of the 3 gentlemen that had been trying to get this radio started, and this gentleman put my dad in touch with the trio of couples, and they met and they hired him right away, and the rest is history.
So your parents were missionaries first. For how long have they been in the mission field?
Well, I'll tell you, they were married in 1954. From there, they went to Matewan, West Virginia, in the coal mines of West Virginia. My dad worked at a little tiny fledgling Christian radio station down there. My mom worked alongside him and also was very involved in the women in West Virginia and helping them learn about raising babies, and just was involved with Bible studies. And she also led a choir for the children and was involved in VBS and children's ministries as well. They were there for about 3 years. And in the meantime, they had some friends from college who sent them a letter that said, "We need you out here." That was at ELWA in West Africa, Liberia, West Africa. And right after they got that letter, there was a missionary conference at their church. And both my mom and dad independently felt God calling them to the foreign field. And it took them about a week to come together. And when they did, they got this letter from the Coddingtons, and my dad said, "Lord, I'll go anywhere, but please don't send me to Africa." And so, of course, God, with his sense of humor, applied to the mission board, the SIM. They were accepted. And when they went for their in-home training, that was fine. At the end of it, they went for the meeting before the board to get the final approval. All the other couples, the candidate couples, had been in these meetings for hours. And my mom and dad went in and they said, "You are accepted. The only problem we have, Jim, is that you're 30 and we don't send new missionaries out past 30. So you got to get out there." Wow. And their meeting was 15 minutes long. But then God had another plan, and before they could get out, my mom was pregnant. And so the mission decided that she should stay here to have the baby. She had me, and 4 months later, they boarded a freighter, an oil freighter, bound for Liberia with their little 4-month-old daughter, and off they went. 14 days later, they landed in Monrovia, Liberia, West Africa.
If you're just joining us, I am with Cindy Tremain, the daughter of Jim and Eleanor Pelley. And the homegoing service ended, and we're out fellowshipping and getting the story, the humble beginnings on how the Pelleys started with WIHS. So you leave Africa, you come back to Connecticut.
We moved to North Haven, and my dad started working at the radio station. And North Haven at that time was a very difficult town to get into. We moved to North Haven because at that time they did not have special needs available through the school system. And so the law said that they had to provide the important, whatever education was needed. And so they paid to send my brother to a special autism school in New Haven. It was the only school of its kind in the country at that time. So God got it all worked out for us. I had a fairly difficult adjustment period. You know, I came to the States not knowing that there were any other radio stations except ELWA. I didn't realize. I thought all radio stations were like that. Everybody talked about Jesus, and it wasn't like that at all. And so it was hard.
Again, her dad was the first voice that our listeners heard on WIHS radio. And do you recall his first words?
I think he said, "You're listening to WIHS broadcasting from Middletown, Connecticut."
You were there at the beginning of the radio station, that you were the man there on day one that threw the switch, so to speak. I don't actually know whether you actually did that or not. I guess that's part of the reason why I'm here today, to ask you about things like that.
Yes, I plead guilty. First day, I was a nervous wreck. I had kind of numbers written out, 1, do this, 2, do this, 3. So I got it on the air, and I could tell because I could hear music in my earphones. And the first program was a news program, as I recall. And then I started a news broadcast. Then we started giving the news. And then Mrs. Corte called me. She said, "I hear you, I hear you, I hear you, I can hear you." Really a nice shot in the arm because she could hear me. And she was a great lady, Mrs. Corte was.
Were you there or at home?
I heard it. I was at home.
And your dad worked for WIHS for how many years?
I believe he was there about 23 years. Then he retired.
And your mom was...
Right there by his side. Yeah. She was actually the one that was the bookkeeper in the beginning. And she did all the receipting for the gifts and all the banking and all the correspondence. She was pretty much it behind my dad.
Your mom was a joy. I refer to her because after your dad, Jim, was long gone, your mom kept volunteering. And then that's how I met your mom.
She loved WIHS. I used to get mad at her sometimes because I wasn't that involved with WIHS. Those were my high school years, and then I was off to college. I would always tell her, "Ooh, you never talk about ELWA anymore." And she said, "But I've been here twice as long as I was ever out on the mission field. And this is my mission field now."
Oh God, the world is lost in sin, and so few that seem to care. Many of whom profess thy name, no burden will help to bear. We need a passion, Lord, for souls to bring the
And the nice surprise was the voice of Eleanor Pelley singing at the end there. If you would like more information about what you heard today, call WIHS 860-346-1049, 860-346-1049. I'm Jerry Williams for the WIHS Journal. It's news and public affairs.